A modern supply chain simply cannot wait for a customer to place an order before springing into action. To secure the right warehouse capacity, source raw materials, and schedule labor, an organization has to predict exactly what it will need weeks or even months in advance. But trying to map out future demand means battling a chaotic mix of moving parts. Professionals in this field operate under one universal, almost counterintuitive rule. Forecasts are usually wrong. Errors are an inevitable part of looking into an unknown future. The objective of operational planning is to accept that margin of error, measure it precisely, and build a system robust enough to survive it. To manage this baked-in inaccuracy, businesses build specialized mathematical models. These models sift through whatever data is available to extract reliable probabilities. This line graph shows a projected path for future demand, and right around that central projection is a shaded band representing the mean absolute deviation. That shaded area is a statistical estimate of exactly how far off the prediction is likely to be. To calculate these projections, forecasters feed data into three main categories of mathematical engines: qualitative, extrinsic, and intrinsic techniques. Selecting the correct engine for the specific data environment you are operating in is the only mathematical way to keep that margin of error as tight as possible. Imagine trying to predict the exact sales volume for a completely new product launch. You have zero historical sales data to look back on, meaning strict mathematical formulas have nothing to calculate. In this data vacuum, companies rely on qualitative methods. Senior management uses structured human judgment, expert intuition, and rigorous market surveys to establish a baseline. This flowchart illustrates a highly structured qualitative approach known as the Delphi method. Instead of putting experts in a room together, individual nodes feed isolated opinions into a central hub. This anonymity prevents groupthink and ensures no single loud voice dominates the prediction. Another technique is historical analogy, where planners map out the introduction, growth, and behavior of a similar product from the past and use that life cycle trajectory to guess how the new product will perform. When hard numbers simply do not exist, this highly regimented application of human subjectivity becomes the mathematical anchor for predicting long-term business trends. For established businesses, internal sales are often dictated by macroeconomic forces, completely outside of the company's control. To capture this dynamic, analysts use extrinsic or causal forecasting. These are quantitative models that mathematically link the demand for a company's product to broad external economic indicators. This scatterplot tracks simple regression. By correlating an external indicator on the x-axis, like housing starts, to internal sales on the y-axis, forecasters draw an upward-sloping trend line to project roofing material sales based on the housing market. Because they look at broad external factors, these causal models are primarily used by senior management to build medium-term production plans across large families of products. By mapping out external economic indicators in advance, causal models let companies mathematically surf macroeconomic waves rather than simply guessing when the tide will turn. Down on the factory floor, managing immediate day-to-day operations requires a totally different approach. Here, the core assumption is simply that whatever happened in the past will repeat itself. This requires intrinsic, or time series forecasting, a method that looks strictly inward at a company's own historical demand data. This graph plots chaotic daily sales spikes. To make sense of this noise, analysts use moving averages. Now, a smooth trend line draws over the data. This exponential smoothing filter weighs recent sales heavily, flattening spikes into a predictable trajectory. These intrinsic models act as a noise-canceling filter, extracting the granular daily signals needed to build short-term master production schedules. In a functioning real-world supply chain, no single forecasting engine operates in total isolation. They are designed to interlock. This pyramid diagram illustrates a hybrid approach called pyramid forecasting. High-level, qualitative business forecasts from top management are forced down, while granular, intrinsic sales data rolls up from the bottom, reconciling perfectly in the middle. When data is aggregated like this, another rule of forecasting emerges. Predictions are always more accurate for larger families or groups of products because random variations naturally average out across the broader dataset. And finally, forecasts are inherently more reliable for nearer time periods. The short-term future simply holds less mathematical uncertainty. Forecasting does not grant perfect clairvoyance. It is the rigorous process of turning human intuition, economic correlations, and historical patterns into structured probability, keeping the modern world running on time.